Honda Odyssey. We've got Dodge Challenger Sext. We've got a Ford F-150. $1,200. Cons. Fuel gauge floats. It's been sitting a little over a month. I'd suggest towing it. One of the inner door handles is broken. One of the handles to roll down the window is broke. Small crack. We don't care about any of that. Drive belt seems to move around a bit, and I'm not sure what to do about it. At this point, I'm not comfortable driving with. The drive belt seems to move. Where is this located? Just on the southwest side. Posted 21 hours ago. Tell me more. Pros. It's a real deal classic antique Ford. Body's pretty good. Think it's considered a long bed. Good tires, nice toolbox. Feel free to check it out. You will more than likely need a tow truck. It's been sitting, so the battery will need to know I'm giving it a call. If serious. If I was serious, I think I would acquire this. So the hood release is sitting on the floor. That's interesting. We've got a vinyl floor. We've got a blue interior. We got some dashboard cracks. We've got the club. Dude, it doesn't... I mean, if you're telling me it doesn't even run, were you really that worried about somebody running away with it? You know? Man, it's not bad. It doesn't look like. This, I think, is the best potential flip of the day. Been sitting. Drive belt seems to move around a bit. So, yeah. Needs a pulley or a harmonic balancer, I'm guessing. Is it what engine is this? He says it's 8 cylinders. So it's probably a 302, right? Yeah, I'm tempted to freaking text this guy. So I called him, and so this is like a 94 F-150. It's two-wheel drive, long bed. I believe it's a 302 automatic. It had kind of low miles, I think, like 120, 130, 140, something like that. It's got a handful of little things wrong with it, but the main thing he said was that he said the drive belt looked like it was kind of wobbling or something. He said it didn't look like the drive belt would stay like the serpentine belt. He said there was something weird with it, like it looked like it was kind of trying to come off or something. And he also said it had been sitting and would need a jump. It's really for $1,200, it seemed decent. So I called the gentleman, and he was like, yeah, you know, I'd be happy for you to come see it. The only thing is I have to leave my house at 10:30 to go to Thanksgiving. And so it is currently 5 after. The guy's house, the machine says it's 12 minutes away, which means it's 15 minutes away, which means that I'm going to show up at 10:20. And he told me, he said, you're welcome to come over, but I'm leaving my house at 10:30. So I'm taking a gamble. I'm driving over there, and I've got 10 minutes to make a decision on whether or not I think that this thing is worth fooling with.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, Jeremy.
I'm Jack. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man. So this is her.
Yeah.
Let me pop it. So I haven't cranked it in a while. I tried the crank yesterday. I had to start it up.
Gotcha.
And it sounded crazy, man.
Did it?
Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And the main thing, I don't know what's wrong with it, but I know what I see.
Yeah.
I also couldn't get this close back there. So when I say the belt, this.
Yep.
When I crank it,
Yep.
this was on here. I kind of let it crank
Yep.
for maybe a few minutes, and it started to slide that way.
Yep.
And before I had somebody to come by, and we removed a little bit of the tension just to get it back on there.
Yeah.
But like I said,
It keeps trying to walk off.
It keeps trying to come off of there.
I gotcha. So, yeah. As far as you know, that's really the only thing that's wrong with it, right?
As far as I know.
I mean, like, there's a bunch of little stuff, obviously,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's a 94.
Was it from around here?
We got it up north, up there, like Sandy Springs.
Okay.
The guy I bought it from actually told me, he's like, hey, man, we put an old Mustang engine in it.
Oh,
And
really?
then I take it to some other folks. They're like, nah, brother, it comes with this engine.
Yeah, I mean, I have this exact same truck, and I have this exact same engine in it. I mean, they put this exact same engine in the Mustang, too,
It
so.
isn't. Okay, maybe.
I mean... All right, shut off! So, here's my question is, what the hell is that noise? It did not sound like the engine knocking to me, but what the hell was it? is the harmonic balancer just like grossly failed? And now, because the harmonic balancer is like a two-piece thing with rubber in the middle of it, right? I don't really know what the hell they are, to be honest. I've tried to understand, but I can't. I'm like, could the harmonic balancer be so grossly failed that it's causing this knocking noise? It was difficult for me to look at this thing because the belt was actively, for the short period of time he had it running, it sounded really bad, and the belt was actively walking off of all the pulleys as I was standing there. So what I really wanted was to get my head up under there and take a really good look and stop and give it a few minutes and listen and analyze and blah, blah, blah. Well, that is not safe in the slightest. Not wearing safety glasses, not even with safety glasses. With this serpentine belt, that serpentine belt was about to fly the off, pardon my French. And so I really could not sit there and analyze it. Now, the guy had to go to Thanksgiving. He said he had to leave at 10:30. I let him go at 10:30, so I wasn't wasting his time. And he was a cool guy, and he was like, look, let's do this again tomorrow. You can come back. You're going to have your tools. We'll have more time. And so that is the current plan, is I'm going to go back with the toolbox. I'm going to rip that serpentine belt off, which should be very easy. Then we'll try and crank it and start it running without the serpentine belt. If the noise goes away without the serpentine belt on it, I've got a good mind to buy the damn thing. That crank pulley was bent or eccentric or whatever you want to call it. So I suspect the harmonic balancer. So yeah, it is now the next day. It is the Friday after Thanksgiving. And, I thought about it some, and I did some research, and I'm not sure about this Ford. It's like I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, maybe it's just a harmonic balancer falling apart. The more research I did, the more it's like, well, harmonic balancer failure is often either caused by or causing general crankshaft failure. And that's kind of scary. I don't want to buy a truck with a totally blown 302. Yeah, so I just got back from poking my head under the truck, spent a good probably 30 minutes with it. So a few things. As I started to take the serpentine belt off, I noticed two obvious problems. Number one, the crank pulley is not bolted to the harmonic balancer. There's nothing wrong with the harmonic balancer. There's 4 bolts holding the crank pulley to the harmonic balancer. 2 of them are missing. The other 2 were loose. So there's that. Then the bracket for the alternator, there's a bracket that holds an alternator and I think an air pump. That bracket is not bolted to the engine. And as far as I can tell, there's 2 bolts that hold that to the engine. One of them was loose. That's fine. It's tightenable. And the other of those 2 was broken off in the, I believe, cylinder head. So, of all of the concerns here, those are the bolt being broken off in the cylinder head is the most significant. So I ripped the serpentine belt off. I ran it without the serpentine belt just for a couple minutes just to hear it, see the oil pressure gauge goes up. Oil pressure gauge goes up. Truck runs great, honestly. Seems to run really fine. Nothing seems to be wrong with the engine. When you have the belt off, the crank pulley issue I'm not real concerned about. I just think it needs 2 more bolts and your crank pulley is good. But that alternator bracket issue, the problem is I don't know if that bolt is broken off in the head or if the end of the bolt is sticking out of the head. So yeah, so that could be sticky. Here's the deal. That's a $1,200 truck and I think I could get it for $1,000, and I think that it's worth $1,000. This guy, he's living in California right now. He's going back on Tuesday, so he's kind of got a sense of urgency to it. I don't want to, I'm not trying to rob the guy here or anything, but I think I can get this thing for a real decent deal because obviously I'm exposing myself to a certain amount of risk. So I think that today, sometime within the next couple of hours or whatever, I may float that guy a text and say, will you take $1,000 cash? Ready to do it?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Grab the paperwork.
Sounds good. All right, man.
You got cash?
Oh, yeah. I guess we should do that part. There you go. Go ahead and count it. See this alternator? You can see that they replaced that at some point just because it's newer. But here's the thing. Now you can't really see it with the belt on it, but I promise, as soon as you take the belt off, this whole alternator bracket is just flopping in the wind. Yep. So you see that right there? That, where it bolts to the cylinder head? That bolt is the one that sheared off. I don't know if it's sheared off in the head or was part of it sticking out, but there's another bolt right down there that I'm gonna tighten. That's the only bolt on it that I know of. The other thing I wonder about is once you get this tensioner off right here, I wonder if there's stuff behind that that's not bolted up. And I know, like I said before, this alternator bracket is missing kind of a secondary bracket, like a strut on the bottom end that is meant to fasten it to the block. So that we gotta tighten.
You gotta pull the alternator to do all this?
Nope. And then the crank pulley bolts I'm gonna tighten. And I'm gonna try and do all those with the belt on it. All right, first drive in the sketchy Ford. And man, we're talking very sketchy Ford. You know, I recall back to a moment about 48 hours ago when I told my cousin I bought this thing, and he was like, so what do you check for when you buy a junk car like that? And I was like, man, I cranked the engine up, I listened to it for about 3 seconds, I didn't hear any like catastrophic knocking in the engine, and it started, and I said it's good. So that's the extent that I know about it. I didn't know if the transmission worked or anything else. The transmission seems to kind of work. The tires are severely flat spotted. I'm about to get on the highway, but I won't be able to go very fast at all with this thing. It acted like it had not run in a long time. It smoked like crazy. The driver's door is not fully shut, and I can't open it to re-shut it because it doesn't have a handle. Yeah. Oh, and the engine, it's making noises. Yeah. So there's that, there's all of that. The gear shift is very broken. You have to find the gears, you have to find reverse, you have to find first. It's a learning curve. And the indicator on it's obviously broken. Because, oh, now it looks like it's empty on gas. Whereas just a minute ago, it looked like it had gas. Oh no, not in downtown Atlanta, baby. Holy hell. I just want to get on I-20. I will die happy. Just get me on I-20. Yeah, I think I'm out of gas. I do not. We're like arguably like a quarter of the way home at this point. And oh, the fuel gauge is coming up. Look at that, so spectacular. Look at that. Now it has gas, it's good. It's all, everything's good, everything's fine. So we're going, it says I'm going 45. That's about as fast as I can manage with the flat spotted tires. Oh, it downshifted. So the trans is okay, maybe? The trans seems kind of okay, I guess. I don't see any glaring issues with it. Front door's about to fly open on me. If I can get off at my exit, I don't care about getting it home from there. I mean, God, this thing feels like it's about to rattle itself clear apart. I'm going too fast now. Man, this thing shakes bad. It shakes really bad. I'm curious if it's still smoking when we get it home. Still smoking, and I'm curious what the engine sounds like. All right, turn around, baby. Get over here in the right lane. Blind spot monitoring, not really. That 302 feels pretty damn good for being so clapped out. I'm starting to trust her. Oh God, it just feels good to be off the highway. Holy shit. Wyatt's Country Barbecue. We made it to Wyatt's. I-20 car wash. What does it sound like? That 302 feels so good. It's fine, it's really fine. Everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. Brakes. Present. Everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. What is today, Sunday? This is a nice Sunday. Nice fall Sunday in Atlanta. Look at it go. We're back up to 40. I do think the flat spots on the tires are kind of coming back to life. Is it still, I'm not sure it's still smoking horrifically. The horrific smoking might just have been because that might have burnt off. That might just be because I hadn't ran so long. I see my dad in the rearview mirror. He looks like he is questioning all of his life decisions. This thing, man, off of a stoplight, that's why I bought it. You can't beat the 302. Knocking, smoking, pinging, dying. There is my house. That, ladies and gentlemen, I was not 100% sure I was gonna be seeing anytime soon when I first got into this thing. Oh, that is a sight for sore eyes. Between the smoking that went away, you know, let me see what the engine sounds like now. Look at that. It feels really good. The acceleration feels good. I thought
down the road straight.
because I'm holding the steering wheel crooked. Yeah, it pulls back. Yeah, but I mean, at least when you have it pointed straight, it's not like doing the thing where it, yeah,
No, it's
crab walk. It's not crab walking. I thought earlier, I heard a knocking or something from the engine, a mechanical noise, and it's whatever that was is gone. The only noise the engine makes is the belt chirp, which I expect that to go away from the work that clearly needs to be done with this whole assembly. And even if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. The brakes are fine. The tires are badly flat spotted from sitting, and they may come around, or I may have to throw new tires on. The tires are flat spotted from sitting. The gear shift is kind of messed up. It's kind of difficult to get it to go in gear, but it does. It idles really, really smooth, doesn't it?
No, I think you got one.
Maybe.
305, right?
302.
302.
Yep. The door handle for the driver on the inside is bad. So I closed it, and I didn't get it all the way closed, and I had to drive it all the way home like that because I couldn't pop it. Oh, wow. All right, so we got the truck home successfully. It was a little bit bumpy. So we're gonna start with what we know. And that is that it starts and it runs and it drives. I don't know if we charge the battery enough to start it, but we are going to try in just a second. I'm smelling a little bit of antifreeze right now, so I'm kind of wondering if maybe there's a little bit of an antifreeze leak somewhere in there. Probably not the end of the world. Now, the smoking went away, so that's a really good sign for the engine. But yeah, it pulls bad, it shakes bad, it's not fun at high speeds on the highway. I don't have any idea how much gas is in the tank. I do know that only 1 out of 2 tanks works. I would love for these tires to be salvageable. The paint job is, it's gonna be a great candidate for pressure washing. Look at that, still got some shine to it. I really bet that this thing will take a coat of wax really, really nice. You can see a little bit of stuff going on there. Oh, there's some maintenance records also in the glove box that we have not uncovered yet. It does say Georgia Tech on it. That's a really good sign. That looks like an aftermarket lens that somebody didn't fully bolt in. It's interesting. E-Waste E-Planet. So we got to look that up. Figure out what's going on there. We don't know if the radio works. We don't know if the heat works. We don't know if the AC works. We do know that the receipt printer at the gas station works. And then we've got a whole thing here. We got the crank window thing that is broken. We got a bunch of fuses. That's fabulous. This guy told me he got it up in Dunwoody, I think is where he told me he got it. Metro Auto Repair Services. Interesting. When was this? 2020. That's very recent. That's right before these people bought it. Spark plugs, air filters. They did a full tune-up on it. These are the parts that they ordered. So these are the parts that went with that. Why are we using 20W40? That sketches me out a little bit. So the odometer was working back in 2017, and it was 96,000. I don't know if it's gonna have enough charge to crank. It has like literally no charge. Yeah, it has like none whatsoever. That battery is from 2021. So it's possible that the battery in this thing could just be completely dead. In fact, the combination of it being an old battery and it's sitting, I'm going to go ahead and declare that it's done. The underside of this thing, pretty decent. Yeah, a little bit of stuff going on there, but we don't really care. I don't really care. Look at that. I mean, I think that's decent, all of it. And then look at that rear axle. I think that looks fine. What does that say? 124,309. So in January of 22, the odometer was still working. I had 124 on it because it's at 128 now. About the radiator, I didn't even look at that. Radiator looks okay. Check it out. But look at this side of the frame. That looks, I mean, looks like a halfway legitimate truck. I mean, you could almost believe it's got, yeah, it had 96,000 on it. So the odometer failed at 128, but it failed very recently. This says metric on it. So I think this might be a different trim than what I have, because I don't think mine says metric on it. It doesn't really seem like it's leaking like crazy. Engine, I mean, I think I've seen leakier 302s. I mean, I think I own leakier 302s. The engine seems pretty tight. I want to hear it run more. I want to listen to its sounds.